Hi, it's Conrad, and welcome to another episode of 321. This is part 5 in the series on race, and today we're dealing with the issue of white privilege. It's often met with a lot of defensiveness, but I think a lot of us really don't understand it. So let's talk about what it is and what it is not. Point number 1, white privilege does not mean that white people don't face significant challenges in life. In fact, many face extreme challenges or start from very difficult circumstances and have to claw their way up in life. And that's where a lot of the defensiveness around this issue can come from, in my opinion. White people who have had to overcome significant difficulty will say, privilege? What do you mean privilege? Look at what I've had to overcome. I've worked hard for everything I've gotten. Don't you dare say I'm somehow privileged. This is not what we mean by white privilege, that you or I have had it easy. As I've read and researched and had many conversations with African American friends and colleagues, I've encountered story after story after story, both in other communities and in my own community. And these stories tell me over and over that people of color can live in the same community as I do, but have challenges I don't have. They have discussions with their children I don't have with mine. They face obstacles, both visible and invisible, that I don't have to face, and that list goes on, ranging from social annoyances to outright discrimination and all kinds of stuff in between. And the only reason for this is the color of their skin. The specifics look different from person to person and place to place, but the underlying concept is the same. And if you choose to engage this issue, you'll find point number 2, I believe, which is what white privilege is. Think of it more as an advantage based on race for people who look like me rather than a privilege, if that's helpful for you. Point number 2, if you place a white person and a person of color in situations of the same difficulty and you give them the same resources and the same amount of commitment to overcome those obstacles, the person of color will have extra challenges in moving forward just because of the color of their skin. It's like a headwind working against them and a tailwind that pushes people like me along. It's 2 people hiking up the same mountain, but the person of color has to carry a heavier backpack because and only because they're a person of color. It's the color of their skin. At the big picture, this is white privilege. It's not that you or I don't have it hard, but a person of color would have it even tougher in the same situation because of the color of their skin. We have an advantage based on race. In addition, we live in a nation that has always been centered around white culture, and we'll talk about that more in the future. So we as white people, with rare exceptions, we get to move around in cultural spaces that are racially comfortable to us. And moving through and upward in society will always be easier and better and faster and less complicated for us because of the color of our skin. We have an advantage based on our race. There are many examples of this as well. I don't have time to get into in this episode, but again, at the big picture level, this is white privilege, and it's only difficult to see if we don't want to see it. It's not some political agenda somebody is pushing. It's not people stirring up race. It's the reality of our culture still today. And remember, just because we don't see it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. In fact, in this case, the fact that we don't see it is part of the proof that it does exist, because it's obvious when you step outside of the white world and look in, but that's only true if we make the intentional choice to do so. Now, how we got here and what we do with this information, those are issues for future episodes. But my challenge for this episode is to wrestle with understanding this concept, because otherwise we cannot understand racial dynamics in our culture, and we certainly cannot work against racism if we are not aware of how the world looks and responds differently for a white person. This really does not have to be an issue that causes us to respond defensively if we're open to looking through a different lens, and I challenge and invite you to take that step with me. To help with that, I'm going to post a link below to a well-known article that's on this issue. It is a great place to jump in and start learning. So I'm out of time. Thanks for spending some of yours here. I invite you to subscribe to the YouTube channel and share any videos you find helpful. If you're watching this on Facebook or another platform, I'll have a link either above or below in the comments to the YouTube playlist for the rest of this series. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you'll join me again here on 321.